Hey everyone, it's Steph. Welcome back to the Stable Studio. I've got another pedal demo for you today. It's the Sawdust by Apollo Approved, and it's part of it is a faithful representation of the Mostortion, which was an Ibanez pedal, Ibanez Mostortion, the MT10. I'll put an image on the screen right now of that. And that was built between 1990 and 1993, so only for a few years. And they're quite rare to get hold of an original one now. Fortunately enough, I have got an original one here today to put up against the Sawdust from my mate Steve. Thank you, Steve, for lending me that pedal for this video, Mr. Diatonic Dude. And we're going to put them up next to each other. But what I love about Apollo Approved, and I've spoken to Argus quite a lot lately. I did a review for the Thurston Drive. You might have not seen it. I'll put a link in the description. The Thurston Drive from obviously Ford Thurston is a Nobles ODR. But it had some extra features, and you know, that had a mid kick switch and a gain boost switch, and this is no different. So I love what Argus does. He adds his own little thing to them sometimes. So it's got a little dip switch here as well, which I'll explain in a minute. But the Mostortion is one of those Nobles ODR kind of things where someone picked one up in Nashville and chucked it on their board and thought, oh, this is great, and then everybody and their dog goes out and buys one, and now they're really rare. So it's definitely got that Nashville kind of tone to it, if you're into that, if you like that kind of tone. But the Mostortion kind of goes a bit further, I think. It's got a lot more gain than original ODR would have. The string clarity when you play a chord is incredible. It's fantastic. But this has an extra, like I say, an extra feature. So in the down position, with the switch in the down position, it says more. That's the original Mostortion circuit. Then in the up position, it's a different clipping. As I understand it, sorry, my technical knowledge ain't great. I use my ears and fingers to work gear out, but I'm not great at the technical stuff. But as I understand it, it's two different clipping options. So in the up position, to me, it sounds a little bit less fat, a little bit more open and less compressed, and I really like it in both positions, really. You know, any pedal that's got a dip switch on it in my life generally stays in one position because I like it there. I don't tend to change it. You know, I like pedals to stay in that same position, how I like them. But this one, I can't decide which one I like more. Just depends on the guitar. So in the track at the beginning, the telly was used with it in the more position, in the original Mostortion position, sort of fatter, and then the Les Paul DC in the up position. Okay, so yeah, there it is, the Sawdust by Apollo Approved. It's built like a tank. It's a metal case. The one thing that you're not going to get with an original Mostortion, if you can find one, especially for under 400 quid, you're probably not going to find one. They're getting more and more and more expensive now because they are quite rare. Their build quality is horrendous. A bit like, probably like the original Nobles ODRs. They're a bit plastic around the edges. And this is, you know, I quite happily, I wouldn't happily drop it, but I know that if I did, I'm likely to not break it. It's pretty strong. Metal casing. The Mostortion that I've got on the floor there, I was kind of A-Bing them the other day, and it took me 3 or 4 times to press the pedal to actually turn the thing on. Sorry, Steve, I haven't broken it, honest, but they're just flimsy. There's a good word for you. Word of the day, flimsy. So great tone, but the build quality is horrendous, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I've put them in a switcher anyway. Let's get into some tones with the Apollo Approved Sawdust, and we'll go and A-B them all. And hopefully my croaky voice will hold out for the rest of it. So welcome back. I've got both pedals set up here on the floor. Obviously got the original Ibanez MT10 Mostortion here from my mate Steve. Thanks again, Steve. Both running into a switcher. Loop 1 here is the original Mostortion. Loop 2 is the Sawdust. Straight away you can hear that the original Mostortion is way noisier than the Sawdust is. I'm running through my Bad Cat Black Cat 30 into the aux box and then into Logic. The reverb you're hearing is just courtesy of Logic. So my clean tone on my telly, which is my hard traditional T. It's got Sir Classic T pickups in its Swamp Ash body and maple neck. The bridge pickup sounds like this. The neck pickup sounds like this. Middle. Okay, so the Sawdust set in the more position on the switch here, which is the original Mostortion mode. I've set everything at 12 on both pedals, and let's check them out. So we're going to start with the Sawdust, so I can give you a run through of that pedal first, because that's what we're really here for. So loop 2 is the Sawdust with everything at 12. That was the bridge pickup, and now the neck pickup. Middle. Back onto the bridge pickup. Neck pickup. And in the middle. Okay, so let's back the gain right down. And I personally think the Mostortion circuit in general kind of excels in lower gain territory. I think once you get past halfway on the gain, it mushes a little bit. So let's just drop the volume back a little, I think. Oh no, maybe that's okay at the minute. This is the bridge pickup. Definitely got that Nashville thing. This thing feels great. Argus's pedals feel great. They just feel really good. Like, it's got a bit of that squishiness like you get from a cranked amp, which some pedals can feel stiff, if you know what I mean. You know, they don't have that give. Like when you hit it with a pick, you get that real squidgy pick attack, which I love from the Sawdust and from the Thurston Drive from before as well. And Argus was telling me that that's a lot to do with the bypass. So it's not true bypass, it's a buffered bypass, the same as the Thurston Drive, because apparently that's what gives it that kind of feel, having that buffered bypass included. And a lot of modern pedal makers will miss out that bit of circuitry to save space in the pedal, but sacrifice a little bit of the feel, not necessarily the tone, but the feel. And that, for me, the feel is the biggest reason to own a pedal, because tone is subjective, isn't it, really? You know, one person will think one pedal sounds great and another won't, you know, and that's fine. But I think for me, it's all about feel, how pedal makes you feel when you play it, and it's all down to like how it feels in hands. And Sawdust, the same as the Thurston Drive, just feels really good. So let's mess about with the gain. Let's crank it a bit more. Bridge pickup still. Feels great. It's getting noisy now. Obviously because the gain's cranked. More gain definitely makes you play differently, don't it? Right, let's dime it. Absolutely dime the gain. So obviously the neck pickup. Cool. Let's take the game back to about 1 o'clock's always about nice, I think. Hopefully you can hear that that's a lot more open, less kind of lower mids, kind of fatness there. More kind of ringing, really good for a telly bridge pickup kind of country thing. So I like them both. It's hard to tell which one I prefer. So there you go. We'll keep it on the Moore version for now. So that's the switch. Let's just play with the mid control here for a minute. The mid control is what's going to give this pedal its versatility. I think that and the switch, those two controls there, are going to make it so versatile, and you're going to be able to get a whole range of tones out of this thing. Let's do the bass. So bass all the way off. So the bass is set to a really nice frequency, whatever it is. It's a really nice kind of rounded fatness. It's not really low and flubby. It kind of just keeps adding warmth, which is great. It's a really nice frequency, whatever that's kind of set to boost is a nice frequency. So powerful, definitely very powerful. Let's put the highs all the way down. Still completely usable with the high all the way off. Getting a bit harsh at the top and losing the low end as we get round there as well. But I think from off to about 2 o'clock all sounds amazing. After that it gets a little bit noisy and a little bit thin. But if you've got a really dark sounding guitar, you're definitely going to be able to sort it with that. That's not a problem at all. So pretty much gone through most of the controls there. Obviously volume is volume. So let's leave that. Let's put it all back at 12 and let's compare it to the MT10, the original MT10. So just for reference, here's the clean tone again on the bridge pickup. Sawdust. Original Mostortion. Sawdust. So for me, I think Mostortion's got a tiny bit more gain, a little bit more gain in that position, and a tiny little bit more presence, maybe a little bit more top. Maybe it's the extra gain that this thing seems to have that is giving it the kind of sound that I think it's got more kind of top, but actually I think it's probably not that much. But Argus would say that it's a faithful representation of that, but the same components. But obviously this is older, and there's going to be some discrepancies from pedal to pedal depending on the components. So, but it's definitely, I mean, it's pretty damn close, isn't it? The Sawdust is got a little bit more clarity, I feel. The original Mostortion maybe a little bit more mushy in the mids. That might be the extra gain doing it, but let's try play, see if we can get them sounding closer. Well, both of them on there. Look out, Noise City. Let's put a bit more volume on the Sawdust. Yeah. The Sawdust seems to maybe have a little bit more, tiny little bit more in the lower mids than the Mostortion does. Maybe a tiny bit more in your face sound, the Sawdust. But it's minute, you know. Again, we could probably have another MT10 from around the same time, and it could sound completely different. You never know. But it's super close. Would I notice if someone swapped it out whilst I wasn't looking in the middle of a gig with a loud drummer behind me? No, I definitely wouldn't notice. The thing that is the same between these pedals, and you're not going to get this from the video, is how it feels to play through them. I had a cheap Mostortion clone that I got off eBay, which I don't have anymore. But it kind of got in the ballpark. It's a little bit more hi-fi sounding, but it was stiff to play. It was just hard-edged, and it just didn't feel nice. It had the kind of Mostortion vibe, but it just didn't feel nice. Both these pedals have got that squish when you hit it, which I think is awesome. And I also had a Dan Electro Roebuck, which was a Mostortion clone. I don't remember why I sold it, but I remember not playing it much, and it may have been the similar kind of stiffness. I'm not sure, but yeah, these definitely both have that squish, which is awesome. Let's back the gain down to a quarter. Let's see the difference. Sawdust. Mostortion. Yeah, the original Mostortion's just got a hair more gain, I think, as well. A little less, tiny little bit less low mids. But the Sawdust is a brand new pedal, so the components are going to age a little bit as well as we go along. Let's put a little bit more high on this, tiny bit more. Yeah, definitely well in the ballpark. But like I said, the thing that impresses me most is how this feels, how they both feel. And I can see why the Nashville guys love this pedal. It's definitely great for that country rock. Yeah, but this will do it perfectly. If I had to choose one out of the other, I'd go for Sawdust. Not just build quality, because that build quality is incredible. You know, it's built like a tank, but also it's just a little bit more. The sound is a bit more robust and in your face. Yes, very slightly differently EQ'd, and that's probably to do with age as well. But I just prefer the sound slightly of this one. I'd say it's very slight difference, but you know, that's as close as you're going to get to original Mostortion without buying an original Mostortion, I think, especially feel wise. You know, there are plenty of pedals that do the tone of it and get in the vibe. I said that cheap thing I had off eBay didn't really. It's miles away. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this. It feels amazing. It sounds great, and it's so versatile. It's probably going to stay on my board all the time. It's probably, this is a bold thing for me to say, but it's probably overtaking the ODR style pedals for me right now. And I've been a long time ODR fan, but this is almost like a bit of an ODR, but with way more versatility as far as having 3-band EQs concerned, and this switch as well is awesome. So for less than original Mostortion, I think these are about $350 he charges for these. I say it sounds like a lot of money to some people, but it's such an awesome product, and they're built in such small numbers. They're not mass produced, because Argus can't mass produce stuff like that. So yeah, it's just awesome. I'd highly recommend, for anybody that's into the Mostortion thing, this pedal is killer. It's really, really, really cool. So yeah, and I think it's definitely got really, 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 really close to that. Certainly close enough to the point where I wouldn't notice. If someone swapped it out and I weren't looking and I was facing the other way, yeah, well, in a studio maybe. In a live band situation, no. In a recording with all the other instruments in the mix, no. For what I do regularly in the studio when I'm recording stuff, no, I probably wouldn't notice. They are slight differences, but there you go. Hope you've enjoyed that. So just quickly before I go, I thought I'd just grab my Les Paul so you could hear some humbuckers through these things. This is my Les Paul standard from 2004, burst bucker pickups. This is what the amp sounds like clean. About as clean as the Bad Cat gets. And that's with the channel volume way down. Okay, so this is the Sawdust. Mostortion. Neck pickup. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between those two without being told, I don't think. It's very, 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 very similar. Sawdust, just like I said, it's just a tiny bit more in your face, which is cool. Let's put the gain back up. Just be really careful with the original Mostortion. You can see how much these pots actually move. They're just like little, oh, look at that. Oh, little plasticky things. Oh, yeah. and the switch. So, one more try. Les Paul, bridge pickup. Mostortion. Definitely had to add a bit more high on the Sawdust to catch up with the Mostortion as you add the gain. There you have it. In my opinion, the best Mostortion clone I've ever tried. And actually, Mostortion aside, whether you're into Mostortion or not, it's such a versatile overdrive distortion pedal. It can do so much, as you probably heard today with the switch options, with the clip-in and with the EQ. So yeah, highly recommend it. Absolutely incredible. So I hope you've enjoyed today's demo of the Apollo approved Sawdust. I'll put any links you need in the description, and I'll answer any questions you got. Pop them in the comments, and I'm gonna go and grab a coffee, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.